What is up, everyone? It's Jerry from Jerry's Got Pops, and I'm here to talk to you about something that has been on my mind a lot lately. The New York Comic Con has just finished a little over a week ago, and people have already been asking me, they've been saying, Jerry, should I pick this pop up now, or should I wait? Will the value of this pop go up, or will it stay low? I'm not sure, Jerry. Tell me, what do you think is going to happen with this pop? And I've been in the pop game for a while now, so I wanted to put my thoughts out there about which of these pops are going to go up in value in a year, and which ones are going to stay low, so that you know which ones to get right now, and which ones you can wait on to pick up. So let's get right into it, and let's talk about New York Comic Con Funko Pop values in a year. Alright, so every convention that happens during the year, I like to pick out a couple pops that I think might have a value rise a year from now. I pick out a couple that I think might go up in value. I put them aside and I say I think that these pops might have a opportunity to go up in value. Some of those ones that I picked out were Dobby and Stain from last year's New York Comic Con. And you all might be thinking this too, whether you're someone who maybe invests in Funko Pops or flips Funko Pops, or maybe you're just a standard collector. You might have been asking yourself, which pops should I wait on because their values are going to stay low, or they might stay low, and which pops should I make sure I pick up now while the values are kind of low before they start going higher and higher and higher. And every year there are a couple pops that after a year, they go up in value, right? If you look back at San Diego Comic Con 2019, there's a pop that was pretty high right after the con, but here we are over a year later, and that pop has skyrocketed. It's more than double, tripled what it was right after the con, and that's the Up 2-pack with Carl and Ellie. And if you miss on that pop then, you essentially don't have a great chance of getting that because the value is so high on it now. It's a lot harder to secure unless you're willing to put out that large amount of money. And if you were to go back and look at the prices right after the con, the pop was still worth a lot of money. It was only going for about $60 to $70 within the first month or two after the con, so it was pretty easy to pick it up. And I would have encouraged anyone at that time to pick it up because I had a suspicion that it was going to go up in value, and surprise, surprise, it did go up quite a bit in value within a year, and is a lot harder to secure now. So I just want to put that out there that, yes, some of these pops will go up. I also had a suspicion at that time that Red Chrome Vegeta might go up in value. That suspicion was thoroughly wrong. I dumped that pop as quick as possible as I realized Funko was going to continue to overdo the chromes, and it turns out that my suspicion was super wrong. I got rid of that, boop, and moved on from that Funko Pop. And that's fine. You can sometimes move on from those types of pops, and that's okay. So the first thing I really want to talk about today is I want to just set a preface. I want to set a preface for you all about this video. Yes, this video might help some flippers think about which pops they want to put away, but my intent with this video is to try to help you as a collector to think about which pops you want to buy now while the prices are still stabilizing, you know, only a little over a week after New York Comic Con, and which pops you want to make sure you secure within the next month or two so that you don't get stuck having to pay a large price in the future about which ones of these pops. So I want to give you some insight about how some pops might go up or why they might go up, but I also want to give you some insight about why pops might stay low and which pops might stay low, so you know which ones to maybe that you could wait on and maybe even could pick up for potentially below retail price only a year from now. The second thing is I totally, absolutely can and most likely will be wrong about some of these pops. So I need you to realize that if you choose to take my advice, just know that that's your prerogative, right? I'm just putting my advice out there as sort of my opinion. It's totally my perspective on this, on the way that these values might rise or lower. So please don't take it as the Bible. Don't take it as the official word of God. No way. These prices, I will certainly be wrong about some of these ones. I will probably be right about some as well. I've been right in the past about some of my guesses and predictions about how prices might go up and down about con pops, but I will also certainly be wrong about some, and that's the fun in this. That's the fun in just saying, here's my predictions, here's what I think might happen with these Funko Pops. So remember that I am still guessing, just like you all. I am still predicting, so if you choose to take my advice, please don't come for me a year from now because your flocked Growlithe is only worth $10 and I told you it was going to be a super grail. Please don't come after me for that. That's not the case. You know, I want you to realize that I'm just putting my opinion and my perspective out there. Hopefully it does help you and give you maybe some additional insight about which pops you want to put away or which pops you want to make sure you secure now for your personal collection. That's my intent with this video. Additionally, just realize that pop values are super unstable. I might think something about one pop today. Tomorrow a new project gets announced and I could completely change my perspective on what's going to happen with that pop. That happens all the time, okay? So just be prepared for that. Just realize that some of these values could literally change the day after I post this. Something ridiculous could happen. They could announce the next anime series for Junji Ito that's going to star Soichi. They could announce that Mr. Compress could become the main villain by some twist in the My Hero Academia manga. You never know with these things that could cause pops to rise or settle down in value. So just be aware of that as well. Okay, I do have to quickly say, all of my predictions in this video are in relation to the shared sticker versions of these pops. The con sticker versions may have different pricing and may go up or down for different variable reasons. Some of them, the con sticker pops, sold out super fast, and as such, they're going to show a different type of value rise and lower. All of my predictions in this video are in relation to the shared sticker versions of these pops, other than those that only appeared in con sticker, like the piece limited ones. The rest are all predictions based off of the shared sticker value, the ones that just about everyone is going to be able to get their hands on, while the con sticker pops were much harder to secure. They were only available mostly to lottery winners, and then during a public sale that did happen on Funko's website to people who purchased from there. The con sticker versions are going to cause a different value, so just be aware of that as you're viewing the rest of this video. Alright, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start talking about some of these Funko Pops. I'm going to go through each shared retailer one at a time and sort of tell you where my pop prediction is for this. And there's three categories I'm going to either put this in. Either A, it's going to go up in value. I feel like a year from now, it'll be worth more money than it's going for right now, a week later. Two, it's going to stabilize in value. I think this pop will stay normal. It won't stay too, that means within $15 to $30, less than about 2 times the retail price. That's stabilized. That's like, I think it's just going to stay where it is. Nothing's going to happen to it. And 3 is, I think this one's going to go down. That means right after the con, maybe it's very hype, but a year from now, it will actually go down in value. I can see the prices reducing overall. So stay with me as we go through each of these. And I know this is going to be a bit of a longer video and a little bit different, but I do want to give you guys some insight and see if maybe if any of you agree with me. And if you do, make sure to comment down below and give me a little bit of love. Maybe put a like on this video if you agree with some of my suggestions or things I think might go up in price, or if you just enjoyed hearing my predictions or my perspective on any of this. I would really love your support. If you were to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. It would really help me out just to get some more awareness as I sort of rebuild my Funko Pop page here on YouTube. All right, so without further ado, let's take a look at these suckers. Let's get into it. I have a couple here that I'm going to show you in person, but I'm just going to kind of go in order. So if you see the shared retailer list here, I'm just going to kind of go in order left to right, top to bottom, and then I'll end with the Funko Shop column that's on the left there. So I'll go to left to right, top to bottom, and just kind of go through them one at a time and kind of tell you where it is. Up, down, or up, middle, down. That's essentially where we're going to go with this, all right? So let's start with our top left corner, and that's our 2 show-only pops. So these 2 pops are the only 2, well, it's not the only 2 piece limited pops, but it is 2 piece limited Funko Pops. The Bloody Ben was limited to 2,000 pieces, and the Snake Plissken from Escape from New York was limited to 1,000 pieces. And that means that only that number of this pop was even produced, all right? So I'm going to say it right now. I do think that a year from now, both of these Funko Pops will rise in value. They'll go above what they're going for right now. So if you want to secure these pops, I would say be looking in the next month or 2 to secure it now while there's multiple of these on the market. Right now, people are trying to get the highest value out of them. So keep your eye on them. Wait about a month or 2. And these pops are going to stabilize. They're going to go a little lower than what they're going for immediately. But a year from now, they're going to be worth, I think, a lot more than what they're going for now. Because there's going to be a lot less on the market. There's going to be a lot less people wanting to sell them because people have secured them into their collections and are holding on to them. So within the next month or 2 is really your prime time to pick up these pops. I do think both show-only pops, Snake and Young Bloody Ben, are going to go up in value. The next set of pops that you have is your Amazon pops. This includes Jiminy Cricket, the Child, Baby Yoda, the Robin Sparkles pop, and Fezzik from The Princess Bride. I have a suspicion that these pops are all 4, with maybe Fezzik being the star of the 4, or maybe Jiminy Cricket or Fezzik being the ones that might go up a bit. I think Jiminy Cricket has a little bit more potential to go up, but I do think Robin, the Child, and Fezzik are going to stay about retail price for a long time. And a year from now, I don't see them being super grails unless, let me preface this, unless there's some reasons, right? I don't see these being super grails, but if a really great line of Himium comes out, or like a lot of How I Met Your Mother pops end up coming out, people might try to backfill their collections. That could cause this pop to go up in value. A good example is Britta from New York Comic Con last year, which is a Community character, right? So Community is still a pretty popular cult following show, but that show re-released on Netflix over the last year. It brought some new awareness, new attention, and people tried to backfill their collections, and they needed Britta, who was at that point sold out. So Britta's value started to slowly climb, and within a year of the con, she did end up being worth a lot more money than retail price. Robin has that same potential, as well as Fezzik as well. I think both those have the potential to have sort of a surprise bump if more pops or some other reason were to trigger it, but I think that without that, they're both sort of middle thumbs to me. The Child, I think, is for sure a thumbs down. There's too many variants. The market is oversaturated with the Child merchandise. The Mandalorian, obviously the Child is going to be involved in the next season of Mandalorian, but I don't think that this specific variant really holds much more necessity to it than any of the other Child variants. So just put that in your mind. If you need to get this one, I'd go ahead and pick it up while it's low now. I think it's still going to stay low in a year, though. I don't think you need to rush on it. Jiminy, I think, has the most opportunity to rise. He's a classic character, but do realize that there is a classic Jiminy Cricket mold Funko Pop that is really not much different. It's a little bit different. Obviously, this is a much more dynamic pose for Jiminy, but just realize that that older one with much lower piece count is going to be the one that's going to stay high. I think that's the one that's going to keep value. This one has some potential to it. It did sell out pretty quickly. It does have some potential that in a year from now could be worth over that $30 mark. But I do feel a little hesitant about saying that as well. So my biggest prediction from Amazon is that Jiminy would be the one that you would need to lock down quicker, as I think it could go up in a year. The Books A Million Pop is Ron, and this is another character at the World Cup, or at the, I don't know much about Harry Potter, at some sort of thing that happens in the Harry Potter universe. They all kind of dress up, and they've kind of been doing this theme. I think a lot of other con pops from Harry Potter have sort of had the same theme earlier in the year. I've seen all the Harry Potter movies, but I really don't know a ton about the lore. But I would argue that Ron is a popular character, but I do think that this one was produced in a pretty high quantity. I don't think this is going to be one that was going to be super sought after unless you're trying to complete that specific collection of Harry Potter, of them sort of dressed up. And we've seen from the other ones that are in this line, not super popular. I think Ron is going to stay pretty low within a year, but that's just my prediction. I think it's going to stay low, so about retail, it's a middle thumb as well. So you got your Barnes & Noble's pop, and these ones are outliers to me. Going into the con, I thought they were both going to be sort of middle pops. I thought they were going to stay retail. I didn't think they were going to really do much on the secondary market. We were pretty quickly surprised to learn that Barnes & Noble, the shared retailer, did not actually get in a large quantity of these pops. It was a very low quantity, so they both sold out online, and then both sold out pretty quickly within stores, making them a little bit hotter. These were pops that people actually were a little bit more interested in picking up because they noticed there was a smaller quantity of them. As well, Wonder Woman is a glow pop and in her standard outfit, one of the few from the 1984 line, and is in a really cool dynamic pose. And the Venomized line is another very popular line of Funko Pops, and this is the first time Magneto has appeared in that line. So with that lower count, I do think that right now the prices are pretty high on these guys. I do not want to rule out the potential that Barnes & Noble, the shared retailer, might actually within the next month or two get in additional stock of these two pops. And if they do, the value is not going to hold, I don't think. And still, I think neither of these pops are particularly super popular. So I could see a year from now, the value actually stabilizing right at about the $30 mark, $15 to $30, because I don't think these are going to be pops people are going to be worried about backfilling. They're going to be worried about getting all of them. We saw a little bit of a bump of the Tendrils Carnage pop. That was a con exclusive pop. We did see a little bump of that pop in price. But I think Venomized Magneto, while cool, while a great design and a great design from Funko, I don't think this one's going to be a particularly super sought after pop. Same with Wonder Woman. So a year from now, I really don't know that the values are going to go very high. I think they're going to stay stable. They're going to actually stabilize. The one thing that could really ruin this is if the piece count really was super low. And even if it's just a small demand, it's going to demand a higher price. Because if there's a small demand, the piece count was super low, and we didn't know it, a year from now, these could be super valuable pops, especially with that Wonder Woman having the glow in the dark and her being in her standard her classic outfit in the pop. I think that makes it a little bit more desirable than sort of her gold outfit that you see in some of the other Funko Pops. Just know those could certainly go up in a year, but I am going to guess that they are going to stay pretty stable right around the $30 mark. I don't think that they're going to go up a ton because I do expect potentially a minor restock, which is not common with con pops, but Corona has caused this to be more common. We're seeing con pops roll out a little bit of a restock afterwards, after the con, simply because there was delays in shipment to getting them out to all the stores around the nation because of the global pandemic. So be aware of that. Be aware that there might be more of these coming. They might still show up at your Barnes & Noble. Who knows? But if you want to get these, I do think you will have some time to secure them at a pretty good price. So then let's get to Boxlunch, and here's some of the pops I actually have in person to show you. One of the pops from Boxlunch was this, the Flocked Growlithe, as well as the Carl and Ellie 2-pack. So here's what I have to say about these pops. First off, I think the Zombie Daredevil is a miss. I do think that this one is a thumbs down. I can't imagine. I don't think it's done well on the secondary market within the first week. And I don't think it's going to go up by any means. I do think the zombie line has a bit of popularity, but it's kind of secondary to the Venomized line. And I do think that people are already starting to get burnt out on it, despite it just coming out. And I think that Funko is going to keep milking that line pretty heavily. Now, there is potential, maybe, if this does end up selling out and being really, but I'm going to say Daredevil is a thumbs down. Growlithe also, while it does make sense and it's a really cool Pokemon pop from the flock, people are burnt out on the flock Pokemon pops. Growlithe is a great one to flock because it makes sense, but don't trust that that value is going to hold. Most of the other flock Pokemon pops, the value has not held on them. It really has not done well. Now, I will say that some of those earlier ones, Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, didn't really make a lot of sense for them to flock them, but this one does, so maybe there's some potential there, but I do think it's going to stay at a more of a medium thumb, and the Carl and Ellie is a pretty obvious thumbs up. I think that you should secure this pretty soon. I do think it's going to be worth more a year from now in the secondary market than it is worth now. There is probably going to be some minor restocks. I do expect that from this run. I think there's more quantity here than the SDCC one. I think there genuinely is more quantity, but do know that this line is popular. They release very few pops for this line, so it's super infrequent, and know that it's a very, very popular Pixar movie, right? People are consistently wanting more Up merch, and I don't think Funko is going to run it too dry. I think they're going to stay pretty consistently only releasing con or very small release pops for Up. If they were to do a whole brand new wave or line, it may make this go up even more because people want to complete the entire collection. So just be cognizant of that. I think your Up movie moment you need to get pretty soon, within the next month or so, as values stabilize, and get it as low as you can and hold on to that guy. I think it's going to go up in value. The next set you've got is your Entertainment Earth Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. SpongeBob is a super popular cartoon. It's going to build some nostalgia. These characters, very popular characters from the SpongeBob cartoon. This is their first ever mold to be done of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. They both sold out super quickly on Entertainment Earth and on the public Funko drop that happened on Funko.com. I think these pops have a pretty high potential of being above that $30 mark in a year. I really do. I do think that it's a tough call because these are not the most, these are not SpongeBob and Patrick. These are not your main characters, but they're just popular enough of side characters that I do think as people try to put together their SpongeBob collection, the nostalgia will grow. This is characters they're going to want for their set. I would say pick these up soon. Get them as soon as you can. I think their value is going to go up in a year. Prepare for that. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. They have a high nostalgia value. There was a lot of hype around them. I do think both of these have a good potential to go up in value. FYE is next. That's Stitches Baker. I'll say it right now. I think this is a low value pop. I don't think that a year from now it's going to go up. They've released a bajillion Stitch as blank variants. They've been all over. I don't know if people need more Stitch in their collection. There are certainly some hardcore Stitch collectors that wanted this and got it. But I'll say it right now. I don't think this is one that you're going to want to tuck away. I think that a year from now, you're going to be seeing the exact same value on this guy right at about retail, maybe even a little lower, depending on what happens. I don't see any new Stitch projects or anything like that propelling this to some new heights. They're going to go for other Stitch pops. His little airplane, Jesus Christ, his alien spaceship. Him and his alien spaceship is going to still probably stay a hot one. And some of the more standard Stitch pops are ones people are going to go for. I don't think this is it. I think this is a thumbs down. Next, you've got your spread of GameStop pops, and I've got a couple I can show you here. First, the Ein Pop and Tee. I'm obviously wearing the tee. Here's the box for that. And then the Kaguya Otsutsuki from Naruto Shippuden. I didn't personally pick up any of the other ones from GameStop, but let me talk you through it. Let me tell you where I stand on this. I think the Eden Ein Funko Pop and Tee will most likely stay at a medium thumb. I don't expect it to sell much above. This is retailing at about $30 already. It's not going to stay much above its retail price. I think a year from now, maybe it could be $40, $45 for a still sealed one. The pop itself might go up in value a little bit without the T involved if you've got a really nice box one, but I don't think it is a popular line. It comes from a very popular anime. Anime pops do tend to suddenly jump in price. I don't expect new projects from Cowboy Bebop. I think the Eden Ein Pop T will stay just above retail, about a middle thumb. Beetlejuice is one that I'm not 100% sure on. This is one of those outlier pops that I'm not fully certain on. The value, the allocation on Beetlejuice was a little bit weird, and that on the day of the drop, if you were in store, you could pre-order a Beetlejuice pop in store, or you could pre-order it online, which sold out within about 24 to 48 hours. The pre-order online, they did restock after the pop sort of came into stock. But I'm not sure about the allocation and the availability of this pop. It's a really cool pop from a really iconic film. The other Beetlejuice pops have had some waning value. I'm not sure where this one's going. It does have a cool glow. It's got a really nice glow. I'm really not sure about this one. I'm going to give it a middle thumb as sort of my guess, and then I think it's going to be just above retail value, but not much. I'm not 100% sure on this one. This one could surprise us, and in a year from now, it could be sort of like the Killer Clown, which I was not sure about last year, and it could be worth a lot of money. This could be one that could really go up. I think it's got that potential, but I am going to say for the most part, I am not personally going to be investing in this one. The next is your Werewolf Bart. I put a lot of investment towards the last year's Simpson Treehouse of Horror ones, and it didn't really pan out. I really thought those ones had a chance. Kang and Kodos was really the only hit from those ones, with the Willie and Mr. Burns not really being a huge hit. They were ones that certainly sold out. They had a lot of instant popularity, but didn't really hold. Now that we're a year later, they didn't really hold in value. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that line. They're oversaturating it by putting out a brand new wave of like 10 more pops. They're just pumping out as much as they can. I think that this line is slowing down. I think that Funko's going to overplay it. I think Werewolf Bart, a lot of people felt like it didn't even look like Bart from the show during that scene. I'm not sure about this one. I think that this one could be a thumbs down, but I certainly wouldn't put my I would not pick this one up as one that I would think would go up in value. I would say you can probably wait on it a year from now. You might still be paying $20, $25, but not much above what it's going for now. So we've got Kaguya, who I do have one here. I do think that Kaguya is an interesting example. Kaguya is a very unpopular Naruto character. In the Naruto fandom, you're not going to see people jumping for joy for Kaguya. There's a lot of other characters in the fandom that people are excited about. She was a bit of a deus ex machina to sort of finale the show, all right? But this mold ended up really, really clean, and it is a Naruto pop, and the first con Naruto pop. Naruto's a super popular anime that has a very, very adamant fan base. The values of many other Naruto pops have sort of shot up, and they've really bounced up and down. We saw as they restock and unrestock, they just keep going up and down. I think Kaguya has a potential in a year from now to go up. I want to say that right now. I think it does have potential to go up. I think it's going to go really high right now. I think it's actually going to go really low in a couple months as people sort of flood the market with these pops. They're going to just try to sell them at high value. I think the value is going to go really low. But then I think as that market starts to clean up and those pops start to get into the hands of collectors, 6 to 8 months from now, it's going to start trending back up. I do think so. I don't think this is going to be a super grail, but I do think it's going to be more than double the retail price a year from now. I do think that. I think that it being the first con Naruto pop, similarly to a lot of people kind of... Dabi wasn't the technical first con My Hero pop, but sort of the first widely available con My Hero pop after the My Hero boom. And you've seen what happened to Dabi. Kaguya is going to have a similar thing, but I don't think she's going to be up in the super 100 range, any 100 plus range. But I could see her fading into the 60, 70, maybe even 80 range at some point in time. So I would prep yourself for that. Over the next month or two, look at securing one if you need one for your personal collection. Really do. I would consider putting one, getting one pretty soon. I do think they're in the like $60 range right now. Maybe a little high. I do think in the next month it's going to go down a bit. So prep yourself for that. The Beastman 10-inch is a complete dud. Do not buy this. I think 10 inches are dying slowly, and this is just the aftermath of that. Only buy this if you want it. I do think a year from now it's probably still going to be worth 30 bucks. You might even still find it at GameStops a year from now, which is sad to say, but it may actually be possible. I'm not 100% sure yet. Obviously, you can still find the Thing from San Diego Comic-Con, but it's kind of a weird time right now. But he is still out there on GameStop shelves. This one could be 100% the same. So prepare yourself for that. If you're looking at this one, I don't think Beastman's going to go up. He's not the most popular He-Man character, and nobody wants a 10-inch one. The next one is the Graffiti Miles Morales from GameStop. Cool mold, interesting idea. They're going to make a bunch of them. People might want it after they've filled the whole set, and it might cause a bit of a price raise. You've kind of seen that with maybe the Avengers Amazon exclusives. That might happen here. A couple months from now when all 6 of them are out, people might be trying to find the Miles, and he's harder to find. He is shelf warming a little bit right now. I'm only going to say that he's pretty much middle thumb. He's just going to be a little above retail. I don't think these are going to be particularly super popular pops, so pick it up now if you would like it, but if not, I do think you'll have a chance in the future. Let's move on over to Hot Topic. I do have a couple Hot Topic pops to show you here. We've got Mr. Compress from My Hero Academia, Comic Book Guy from The Simpsons, the Red Goblin from Marvel, and Soichi, who appears in the Junji Ito collection. The last pop from Hot Topic was Nightwing, so let's get into it by starting with Nightwing. I think that Nightwing's an interesting one. This is an updated mold and the first in a long time for Nightwing, who is a very popular DC character. I don't think a year from now he's going to be particularly worth a lot of money. I think he's going to be right at a little bit above retail, especially if they do a new line of pops to coincide with the Gotham Knights game that's coming out. I think those might be popular, but if they don't do pops for that game, potentially that game could cause a bit of a rise for this Nightwing. I still don't think he's going to be particularly worth a bunch above retail, but I do think, and that mainly is because I don't think the mold is a great enough update from the actual standard old school pop pose mold. And I think that also Nightwing is still a bit of a character that people maybe prefer Robin, but on top of that, DC characters don't, especially tertiary characters, are not getting a lot of love in Funko Pop form. You're mainly getting love for the main DC characters. I think Nightwing doesn't have a ton of potential unless Gotham Knights gets no pops, and there's a renewed love or interest in Nightwing. This could maybe cause this one to rise, especially because quantity seemed okay. It stayed on the website for quite a while. It did sell out in a lot of stores, but I think neither here nor there. They might get some restocks. Like I've said a couple times in this video, you might see some restocks. Next, you've got Mr. Compress. I'm going to say it right now. Grab this soon. Grab this as soon as you can. I do think Mr. Compress will go up in value. He's a weak villain, one that is not well developed in the story of the show. I don't expect to blow up within the main plot. I don't expect him to become a main villain by any means. But he's just niche enough that he fits really well into the sort of villains collection from My Hero Academia. I don't expect them to do another variant of Mr. Compress. I expect this to sort of be it for him. I don't think they'll make him glow or anything ridiculous like that. This is sort of it. And I think because of that, people are going to want that for their sets. And I don't expect My Hero craze to really slow down anytime soon. I think a year from now, it's going to be worth more than it is now. Comic Book Guy, I have a weird feeling about. I do think that he is going to go up in value over the next year. I do think this one is. Millhouse was a bit of a fail. I'm not sure. I felt like he had a chance. You can actually still find him on shelves at Boxlunch stores. I think he may even still be available online. But I have a feeling about Comic Book Guy. I do think that he is a little bit more of a special character for some people, especially for collectors who have always felt a bit of a connection to Comic Book Guy, whether or not you're a huge Simpsons fan. I think that you might want a Comic Book Guy in your collection. Maybe even to go with some of your other Simpsons pop, maybe not. Maybe just go on your desk, because he's a bit of a representation of maybe us as collectors. I could see him going up in a year, especially just due to allocation issues. He did seem to sell it super fast on the website. He's restocked a bit, but I could see him be going up. So I would say maybe lock him down soon. While he's right now still, the secondary market for him has stayed pretty much retail over the first week. I don't expect that to move for a couple months. This is one that I'd go ahead and lock down now. Red Goblin, I think that he's a popular character from the comics, but we already got Venomized Green Goblin. This is the Carnage version of Green Goblin. I think this is going to stay right at about retail, maybe a bit above. I don't expect this one to really take off. Maybe for some strange reason, 5 years from now, the Red Goblin shows up in a Marvel film, maybe. But I do think some of these comic deep cut Marvel characters are not really doing it for people. He does sort of fit into the Venomized line, but in a different way. And again, people already have Venomized Green Goblin. I think that people are going to be hesitant about this one. I'm going to predict that he's going to stay in the middle. He's not going to move up much. Then you've got Soichi from the Junji Ito collection. I've seen a lot of people theorizing, oh, this one's going to be a sleeper. This one could be really high next year. As a fan of Junji Ito and Junji Ito's works, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Soichi is going to be jumping in value in a year. I really don't. There's already a plan to do a full wave of the Junji Ito collection that's going to include an additional mold of Soichi that's not maybe in this same pose. That is rumored in the rumor mill. So I don't really expect Junji Ito Soichi. And the naming on the box is incorrect. His name is not Junji Ito Soichi. His name is just Soichi. Junji Ito is the name of the creator, the author that actually wrote the stories that involve Soichi. So this pop is really a strange one. I don't think it's going to jump in value. He has a cult following as an author. I don't think that this character has a cult following. He's not a very likable character in the stories, if you've seen them. And he's a bit, hasn't been well adapted for other mediums either. So if you aren't reading the original short stories that were written by Junji Ito that include Soichi, you really don't have a soft spot for him. I don't think this one's going to jump. even though some anime pops do jump, I do think he'll stay above retail as he sort of sells out and people maybe want to fill some anime pops. But you can look at someone like Asuka from Neon Genesis. That was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. She didn't jump for about 6 to 8 months after the con. She had a small jump, and now has still only had a small jump above that as well, despite them releasing the rest of the Neon Genesis pops. You still aren't seeing her skyrocket, even though she's from an iconic anime series, which Shuichi is not from. Shuichi's not from anything iconic, not from anything super notable. He is just a character that appears in some of Junji Ito's short stories, not even the popular short stories like Tomie, Uzumaki, and Gyo, which are very popular short stories from Junji Ito. Shuichi's not one of those characters. He's not in those stories. So if you don't know that about the series, you might think that there's potential for it to jump. But the fans of the series are going to know that this is not one of the most popular characters. They're not going to be pining for this in a year. I think this one could stabilize or maybe even go below retail as people have this assumption he could go up. So let's get into Target really quick. The only one I have from Target is obviously the Danny Phantom Funko Pop. So let's talk through these three from Target. We've got a Flocked Pikachu to start it off. Here's the thing about Flocked Pikachu. There's already another one in a cooler pose, in my opinion, that's flocked. That was a GameStop exclusive. I want to say earlier this year or last year. That one's cooler, in my opinion. This one is him in his angry pose, which there's a standard version of as well. This is another example of just oversaturation of the Pokemon flocked market. I'm hesitant about this one. I think it could go up, but I think it's going to stabilize. I wouldn't give it any credence that in a year from now, people are going to for sure be all over this. They might flock 4 or 5 more Pikachu molds in that time. Who knows? I think that only the hardcore Pikachu collectors are going to want it. Even the hardcore Pokemon collectors might avoid this one just because they already have a flocked Pikachu in their collection in a cooler pose. I think that it's going to stabilize, maybe a bit above retail. Danny Phantom, I'm going to say it right now, get this pop ASAP. There's no rumors that there's any more Danny Phantom pops coming, okay? As of right now, this is the only Danny Phantom pop we have, and who knows what sorts of licensing issues might be withholding them from doing more, okay? As of right now, this pop, I think, has the potential to be the most expensive shared exclusive from this con. So I'm not talking about the piece limited. I'm not talking about con stickers. I'm talking about shared exclusive stickers. I think a year from now, Danny Phantom has the potential to be the most expensive, the most valuable pop from this con. I think that's just my prediction here. It's the first time you've seen this character in pop form. The mold turned out fantastic. It was difficult to obtain, and it was low allocations, and those allocations sometimes came in late. People were picking them up late. This one was tough to get your hands on in person, and tough to get your hands on the Funko.com website. These are all things that contribute to a rise in a pop's value. Danny Phantom is an iconic character from a lot of kids' childhood, a lot of adults' childhoods, right? So people who are the main audience of Funko Pops, I think that these are mostly people that are 18 to 30 years old. They all have a strong nostalgic bond with Danny Phantom as a character. The mold turned out great. This is a character that I certainly think a year from now will be up in value, and I think potentially could be the highest and most expensive pop from this con. That's just my guess between this and the Up movie moment we talked about earlier. I think that Danny Phantom has a lot of potential here. Look out for this one. And then you've got your Beachhead from G.I. Joe, the Retro Toys line. I don't know what's going on with that line. It does not seem to be super popular right out of the gates. The pops, I think, are they predate a majority of Funko Pop buyers right now. And because of that, you're not seeing a lot of people rushing out to get this one. I've heard a lot of people that are my age and in my groups talk about how I bought this for my dad, or I bought this for an older person in my life. I think that's sort of where this one's kind of being relegated. I've still seen it on Target shelves over a week later. It's not selling out on the website. I'm not sure what's going to happen this one. Maybe if they continue to expand the G.I. Joe Retro Toys line, this does eventually sell out. Maybe there could be a bit of a desire for people to fill out the set, but I don't think it's going to be strong enough. As in, I think there's going to be enough on the market for it to meet that demand. We're not going to see a huge rise in this pop. It's going to stay stable. Let's go down to our Toy Tokyo exclusives. So Toy Tokyo is always a unique one with every con. Sometimes it's a big thumbs up where it turns out really well. Sometimes you end up with San Diego Comic-Con 2019, the biggest bust of a Toy Tokyo box ever, with most of those pops being well below their retail value now. Over a year and a half later, you're seeing them those were just complete bust. Here we have two Master of the Universe characters. Not super iconic characters. I think a lot of even Master of the Universe collectors don't know who these characters are or don't remember them from their toy days. I know personally I've watched quite a bit of Master of the Universe. I'm not sure who these characters are. They're really cool designs. They look really great. I'm not sure about them. They're not Ram Man. The Ram Man is going to hold back. They're not Stinkor. They're not Skeletor. They're not those characters. This is King Hiss. This is Ninjor. I'm not sure about them. I think they're going to be above retail. They sold out really fast. I think that they're still going to be desirable. Master Universe collectors want all of the Master of the Universe characters. I think they're going to be worth a little bit above retail. I don't think they're going to be worth a ton. This is $30 to $40 pops in my opinion in a year, maybe 45, but they're not going to be over $100 pops. You can wait on them a little bit, but I would secure them as quickly as possible. You may be able to get them from overseas retailers if you can. Work that out, figure that out. That does work sometimes for Toy Tokyo exclusives, which obviously sold out super fast when they were sold on Toy Tokyo's site and on Funko.com. The two sodas that were shared with Toy Tokyo, that's Spycore and Envy Adams, the chases of these are going to be worth a lot in a year. I think the Funko soda line is only going up from here. More people are starting to collect the line. Earlier this year, there was not as many collectors involved in it. These are low piece count items, 3,000 pieces each. I do think that the chases especially will be significantly worth more next year. If you want to secure those, maybe look now on the market, see if you can find one the next month or so, and lock that in. The commons, on the other hand, the standard versions, the non-chase versions that are produced in what the 2,500-ish range, I'm not sure about those. I think they are going to be a bit above retail, but I think people probably try to secure multiples of these to try to pull the chases or up their chase odds. I'm not sure about the two standard ones. I think they're going to be more stable. Maybe $12 is retail. Maybe they're going to be selling for 20 to 30 or maybe close to 40 if the soda line really takes off next year. But I do think it's going to be just above retail just a bit. But the chases will be high value items a year from now and are now. So if you want to secure a chase, I would take care of that as soon as possible. Then you got Walmart, and Walmart was really weird. It was only pre-orders on their site. The Dwight one says it's not even going to ship till January. I have no idea what's going on with their allocations. No one found them in stores. Pretty much the only way you could get your hand on them right now was if you ordered them directly from Funko.com. But neither of these were particularly desirable pops. You've got Dwight as Recyclops version 3. They've done a Dwight every single release of this year for the con. So this is now your third con Dwight pop. And it's all been Recyclops, which is a very short, like less than a minute bit they did at the beginning of one episode of The Office. I'm not sure this pop has much legs to stand on. This is maybe a middle value pop to a no, to a thumbs down. I think Bash is a complete poop. It's, don't think about that one. If you want that Fortnite pop, you can probably get it a year from now. I think Fortnite will continue to be dying. It's been on a downward slope all year. It's just going to keep dying. Those pops aren't going to be worth a ton. We have seen a bit of a rise in Five Nights at Freddy's pops recently, which I think a lot of people also thought was a dying game, but there was a bit of a revival of that game. There's still more content coming out. I'm not sure Fortnite is going to get that sort of love a year from now. I think Bash is not going to go anywhere value-wise in a year. So now to get to sort of the star of the show, which is the Funko Shop ones. I'm going to blaze through these a bit. I think there's some that are super sweet, some that were a bit of a dud. Let's start with our Breast Cancer Awareness Joker. I think of the Breast Cancer Awareness pops, this will be worth the most. It did sell out pretty quickly on the public sale. You had to get it from either the HQ or Hollywood or from that public sale. It didn't sell out during the lottery times, which I think was pretty obviously going to happen. And it did sell out pretty quick during the public sale, unlike some of the other pops that were in the Funko Shop, which I'll talk about in a bit. I don't think this one's going to go up super high. People are going to want to complete that set. Yes, it's for a good reason. It is just a recolor of the standard Joker that's been out for years. I think that's the only thing that's going to cause any rise in this is that desire to complete the BCA stat. It's going to be worth a little bit more because of that, but I think it'll be okay. I don't think this one's going to particularly break the market. It's not going to be a super grail in a year by any means. I think it's going to just be a bit above retail. Then you've got your Molly Weasley with the Burrow. I believe this might even still be available on the Funko Shop. Didn't sell out. I don't see it selling out. It's a $50 pop from the gate. The Kevin with Up House from Up took a long time to sell out and has now gone up in value. It's about double retail at this point in time. It did take a long time to sell out, but it is now worth a little bit. I'm not sure Molly Weasley is going to do that, especially because there is a common Harry Potter Pop Town, and I think Pop Towns are continuously kind of going out of the spotlight. People aren't super hype about most Pop Towns. I don't think this one. The only thing here is that I do believe Molly Weasley maybe hasn't received a standard pop outside of this Pop Town. It might make people want this pop a little bit more. Again, this one's I'm hesitant to say it, but I do think it's only going to be a bit above that $50 mark, maybe 60, 75, something like that in the next year, but I don't think it's going to be, it's not a desperate need to lock down now. Heck, you might even be able to get it on a deal when Funko Shop does some of their buy one, get one half off. You might actually be able to get it on a deal before it sells out. I would prepare yourself for that. Then you've got your Captain Crook and the Dum Dums Drum Man. These are two ad icons. They're kind of lame ad icons. I'm just going to be up front. I think that Captain Crook is not He's not Ronald. He's not Grimace. He's not the Hamburglar. He's Captain Crook, who some remember from a weird commercials. And then you got your Dum Dums Drum Man, which I think most people didn't even realize Dum Dums had a mascot. And if they did, they definitely didn't know it was this drum dude. They're ad icons. They're going to go up a bit in value. These are going to be sort of lame duck ad icons in my mind. They are con ad icons. So there's always potential there that if these were tough to get your hands on, they might go up. I really don't think so. I think they're going to be okay. I think a year from now, you'll probably still be able to secure them within a $15 to $20 range of retail price. Then you've got your two icons, which are Polly Pigeon and the Pizza Rat, which also have additional piece counted variants. I think the piece counted variants certainly are going to be worth more in a year. I think these two are going to be complete duds. I wouldn't invest in these two. This is like the 4th or 5th Polly Pigeon now. I'm not sure. They've done a lot of variants. They did a bunch at New York Comic Con last year as well. And the Pizza Rat is new. And yes, it's based off some, the viral video. It's got NYCC and the pizza. Cool. This is a very New York centric pop. I'm not sure that this is something people are going to be really going for, especially since they couldn't attend New York Comic Con this year. It might be a cool souvenir had you attended it, but since the con was virtual, I think it's not going to be one that's highly sought after. Do think the piece limited variants will be worth a little bit. They're going to be worth a little bit. I think these two are going to be okay. They're going to stabilize, maybe even be right at or below retail in a year. Got Pixie and Dixie, piece limited to 2,500 pieces. Didn't sell out on the lottery. Sold out pretty slowly on the public sale. Not super slowly. They sold out pretty quick, but still. I'm not sure. I think these pops aren't going to go up in value. I hate to say it. This is really weird to say about 2,500 piece limited pops. We've seen some other Hanna-Barbera pops go up in value, like the Funky Phantom. I don't think Pixie and Dixie are it, y'all. I wouldn't put my money into it. I don't think they're ones to go for. I do think they are going to be worth more than $30 in a year. But I think it's going to be like $40 or maybe $45. I don't think these are going to be anywhere as high as people would want them to be, because 2,500 pieces, like, yeah, I don't see that happening. No, I don't see that happening. $40, $45, something like that in a year. That's my guess. Yeah. And you've got your Luke and Leia, which are only available in a 2-pack. Movie wasn't super popular. This scene in the movie, it's whatever. I'm not sure. I think these ones are going to be, yeah, they're going to be, yeah. I wouldn't put my money behind them. Star Wars pops do have a tendency to go up occasionally. You might look at the Futura pops, things like that. Not sure about that. I'm not sure these ones are really it, to be honest. I'm not sure they're really it. They're cool. Certainly will be above retail because they did sell out. I don't think they're going to be super grails. These are going to be, again, they were bought as a pack of 30. Maybe together you might be seeing them close to double retail. So like 60, maybe. I think it could even be below that, maybe closer to 50 in a year. I wouldn't say that this is going to be a certain go up. Lastly, you have your Freddy Funko soda and your She-Ra soda. Cool Funko sodas. The Freddy is at 2,000 pieces, so even smaller. He's having a huge value spike, especially in the chase on the secondary market right now, and sealed cans on the secondary market. I think sealed can versions of these two will be worth a very large amount next year. I think that opened chase variants will be worth a very large amount. I think the standard variants will be worth a medium amount, above $12 for sure. Not going to be worth $100, I don't think. Currently the common Freddy is going for over $100. I think in a year he'll stabilize to below that. I think. I'm not sure, but if anyone is going to go way up, it's going to be that Freddy and it's going to be She-Ra. These are the two sodas that were the hits of this compared to Spikor and Envy. I think that the She-Ra common and the Freddy common are going to hold some value significantly above retail. I really don't think Freddy is going to stay at 100, but I think he'll go down and then start climbing back up. I really do, as more and more interest rises in these Funko sodas. We're seeing a boom in sodas. People are buying them. They're making a ton of them. Prep yourself for that. If you want to get into sodas, get into it now, because I do think that a year from now, this is finally Funko's first kind of hit with a secondary line, aside from maybe Dorbs, maybe Pez, and Mystery Minis. These sodas are sort of, they're filling a new space in collectibles for Funko. So I do think they're not letting them die anytime soon, where the vinyls, the 5 stars, those really died out. These have had a much more, a higher interest, lots of sellouts on these Funko sodas. These two are certainly going to be above retail. Now, before I move on, I do want to mention a couple additional pops that got released in conjunction with New York Comic Con. You've got your Hello Kitty that was 1,000 pieces over at Loungefly. It's going to go up in value. Prep yourself for that. Hello Kitty is a popular character The old Hello Kitties have gone up a lot. The newer ones haven't really gone up any, at least not recently. They've done a lot of Hello Kitty recently, but I think this one has a high potential. $1,000 or 1,000 pieces, tough to get. It was on Loungefly's site. Prep yourself. That one's going to go up. Marty McFly Plutonium over with Plastic Empire. It's going to go up 3,000 pieces. This thing is going to hold high. It's going to stay high. Popular movie, popular franchise, huge fan base, tons of other pops. People want that in their collection. It's the OG variant, but plutoniumized. Get it. Get it ASAP if you can. It's going to go up. It's going to stay up. I'm just saying it right now. And then you also have your 1,000 pieces camo Boba Fett that was sold for $100 in the Funko Shop during the lottery. And a couple were sold to the public on Funko.com. I don't know. This pop is going to... I don't know if it'll be above where... People are selling it for like $1,000 right now, which is ridiculous. It's $500, $600, $700. I think it's going to go down from there, but I think a year from now, it could be very high. It's a 1,000-piece Boba Fett variant. That's ridiculous. Boba Fett's such a popular character. The mold is the same mold. The coloring is not perfect, but it's a 1,000-piece Boba Fett variant. The Futura Boba Fetts that already exist have already started to rise in price. This one is going to be worth more than the $100. You had to pay $100 just to get it. It's going to be worth more than $100. I do know some people picked it up at the HQ in Hollywood for, I believe, the standard $15 price. I believe. Don't quote me on that. But you paid a lot to get it. People are going to want to sell it high. There's only 1,000 in existence. Prepare yourself. If you can find a good deal on that pop, get it. I'm not even sure what a good deal is at this point. If it's between 100 and 200, that's a good deal. I would probably rock with that if I could. But this is going to stay high. So prepare yourself for that. And I believe with that, I've covered all of the New York Comic Con Funko products that were released. There were a couple pins, a couple other Loungefly products that came out with New York Comic Con. You should certainly look those up. I don't have as much knowledge about where those might go, so I didn't really want to say anything about those. But if you want to look those up, see where they might go. I do hear some Loungefly products have risen in price, and some pins have risen in price. I do think some of those are piece limited as well. They may go up. So if that's something you're into, take a look. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I have. I hope that this helps in some way. Maybe makes you think a little bit more about some of the pops that you want to secure now or in the next month or two, as opposed to maybe waiting on them to fill into your collection. As well as maybe you want to put one to tuck away and put aside for yourself, just so that you know you have extras or you know you have mint boxes. Funko Pops can be tough, right? You can never really guess which pops are going to shoot up in value overnight. I could have never guessed Holo Ichigo was going to take off like it did. I thought it was always going to be at $60, $70, and then it just took off overnight when a new announcement came with that series. Know that any of these could get new announcements. Maybe they're going to redo The Princess Bride, and I had no idea, and all of a sudden that gets announced. Fezzik's price shoots through the roof or something. Maybe they bring the old actor back to do it. That's totally possible, right? That makes my prediction on Fezzik completely null and void. Wouldn't make any sense at that point. Take this information, do with it what you will, and think about what you need to make sure you get now and secure now. And obviously, hopefully, most of you were able to get what you wanted at retail price. If you can get anything at retail, that's great. I think con pops are worth investing in at retail. Occasionally, some con pops become below their retail price. People pick them up with hot cash, so on and so forth, and you get really jealous because someone got the pop you got for $15 for $7.50. Don't worry about that. Pick them up at retail if you can now. Don't wait on most of these pops. Most of them were very hot items that sold out very quickly. So don't, if I were you and you can get them at retail, get them now while they're at retail. That's going to be your best bet. I think very few of these are actually going to go below retail in a year or even get close to staying at retail. Most are going to be just a bit above retail with those couple few outliers that are going to be way up in the stratosphere. I do think that the Danny Phantom, the Up Pop Moment, and the Kaguya Pop, as well as the Mr. Compress, are going to be sort of your 4 highest value pops, with some of the pops like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, maybe the Ed and Ein combo pack. I would look maybe at the Venomized Magneto and Wonder Woman, depending on what the allocations really looked like for those. And even further, maybe even the Red Goblin as well. That there's potential there, that those are kind of, and Beetlejuice as well, that those might be sort of your second tier pops, with the rest falling into that lower tier. That's where I'm landing on this con. Again, I hope this helped you in some way. If you enjoyed this type of content, I hope to be bringing a little bit more predictive content. a little bit more of what might happen to Funko Pop's content to the channel, as well as other Funko Pop content. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and do what you can to support this channel. I'm trying to bring it back and give some more fun and do some more original ideas that involve Funko Pops here on the channel, as well as other toys and collectibles. I really enjoy sharing what I can and what information I have with the rest of the world. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for hopefully enjoying this video. If you have anything you want to say to me, please follow me over on Instagram at JerrysGotPops. I love to connect with anyone who might view my videos, or really just anyone who loves toys, collectibles, and Funko Pops. So please hit me up over there, give me a follow, and I'd love to connect. Thank you all again, and I've got to do my classic closer. So you all know the drill. You can like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you like. I'm just trying to share my passion for collecting with the world. So this is Jerry's Got Pops, signing off.